Alright, so I'm just gonna go straight into this. This is my project pan update. Do I remember what number this is? No, I think it's my second, but honestly, life is a blur. But this project was created by the Facebook group, the Pantastic Ladies, and the theme of Pan That Pout this year was tiny pans, so either that is the eyeshadows with the smallest in diameter pan, the ones with the shallowest pan, the one with the least amount of grams, the least amount of product left in it, however you interpret it, tiny pans. And so I chose an assortment of depotted eyeshadows that were older and either came from smaller pans and or didn't have much left in them to begin with. Now before I get into my progress, I want to show the pictures of last month, what it looked like after I repressed a few things, and then what it looks like now. So, I feel like that's pretty decent progress. I didn't meet all of my goals. However, I did meet something that wasn't a goal, but I exceeded that goal. So I think it balances out, but I'm just gonna give a preface. This week and next week, the progress, I haven't worn a ton of makeup this past month, and I don't know how much I'll wear this next month, because school has just been stressful and makeup has not been my top priority by any means. And most days, if I'm wearing makeup, it is very simple, very neutral, just like 2 shades, and I don't have inspiration to care about cool color stories. So the looks I'm going to show you today, there's going to be like 3, and they're not that interesting. I'm pretty sure this is the most interesting look I've made this month, and it's still 3 shades. Just wanted to put that out there, just so you can know, I guess, the headspace I've been in. It's been very, I've had kind of midtermy vibes going on these past 2 weeks, and this next week I still have some things that are midtermy going on. So, yeah. This has a lot more progress than any of my other project pan stuff because it's just super neutral. But with that said, let's go through each shade individually. This first one I did not use because we've already established I don't really like the shade and I didn't feel like dealing with it right now. This next shade I used once. I don't remember when I used this, but I did use it once. Wow, this deep brown shade I used 11 times, including today, as a very thin line right up against my lashes. I just mostly used it as something to deepen the lash line. I'm pretty sure that's the only way I've used it this month, and yeah, the progress probably isn't that big because I used very little amount each time. I wanted to hit pan in this past month, and as you can see, that didn't happen. I only used it twice, and this works really well with blending out deeper shades. Since it did really simple looks and I was focusing on other shades, I just didn't get around to it. I'm fine with that, I just didn't care. But these next 3 are where it gets interesting. Now, this shade right here was a depotted Milani shade that was like a lighter neutral brown, and I finished that up today. I used it 4 times this past month for a total of 9 times within the project. It was already thoroughly used before it was in this project, but it is in my crease today, on my lower lash line. I use it as a bronzer contour on my face because there was so little left. You know, when you just like, I don't want to use this twice, like I just want to get it over with. So I multitasked it and used it all over my face. I actually really enjoyed this color, and I really would like to find some kind of dupe because it was this perfect neutral. It wasn't super cool, it wasn't super warm, it was just right in the middle, super easy to wear. But it was from a very old palette, so I'm glad that I was able to use it up to completion. I did use it in a few Frankens, so I guess technically this shade is not done until I finish 2 other Frankens? Yeah, that sounds right. But I'm pretty sure those should be done by the end of the year, so I have nothing to worry about there. And this next shade is the one that was surprising because my goal is just to hit pan. And I hit the entire pan. I only used this 9 times in the past month. But when I say 9 times, I mean 9 days. And that's how I used it so much, is because I multitasked it basically every single day. One of my main looks for this month was this in the crease, this what used to be a gold on the lid. Initially I used this as a blush to kind of like set my cream blush, but it kind of looked a bit too grayish, so by the end of the month, I started using it as a rosy contour for cool tone looks, and I used that up yesterday, so very happy about that. It was a fine shade, nothing against it, but I didn't really care about it, so I was gonna multitask it so I could get it done earlier. I used it a total of 16 times within this project, but it was actually brand new. But because it was 0.55 grams, I think, it was very small, and the fact that I multitasked it as a face product, that is how I use it up so quickly, and I'm just happy to get it out of the way. This next one was another one that I had a goal of finishing up, and I used it for a total of 5 times in this past month and 11 times within the project. And it was this beautiful mauve shade. It was actually my favorite shade in my Wet n Wild Rosé All Day palette for the longest time. I hit pan on it without trying to project pan it, but I'm just glad to see it go because it's very old. And yeah, I just used it in the crease. I liked it. That's kind of it. This next shade is the kind of new addition to this month because it was a Franken of this with another shadow I'm also working on a different project. And I used it a total of 6 times in the past month, but the reason it has so much progress is because typically I used it as an inner corner highlight or lid shade and a face highlight. So again, multitasking it, that's how I made such significant progress. And I actually kind of like it as a face highlight. I'm not using it today because I didn't think it would really work with this look. It is very cool, kind of pinky toned, but it is quite pretty. Not my favorite, but it works well enough. It looks pretty on the lids as well. I have a look where I did this on the lid and then the brown in the crease. Very simple, but it was a pretty effect. This shade right here I used once. I don't even remember when I used it, but okay, moving on. I didn't have a goal for that one. This one I wanted to finish up, and as you can see, I did. I used it only 5 times. And again, that was because I used it on the lid, and then I used it as a face highlight, sometimes an inner corner highlight. It was a bit dark, but the gold looked nice. I don't know, I kind of liked it as a warm look. So again, that is how I used it so quickly. I basically wanted to multitask every single one of these shades because they're so neutral, and I just want to get them out of my life because none of these I'm that attached to. So I'm fine with that. I'm happy to see it go. It was a very lackluster shimmer shade, so I don't miss it. But it was fine to use up. Now this last one, my goal is to hit pan, but I ended up franking it and then it was repressed and I used it twice. I don't think I used it any times after I repressed it. So I guess you could say I technically used it and hit pan if you consider it was in this Franken, but that doesn't count. So I didn't hit goal on these two in terms of hitting pan, but I did pass a goal for the shade and finishing it up. So I feel like it was still pretty good progress, especially because I only wore makeup half the time I usually do this past month, and I have not cared about much of anything this past month. So in terms of goals for next month, I don't have any goals for these top 3. Again, just expanding pans. I don't think I'll use this one, honestly. In terms of finishing things, I definitely want to finish this Franken. I can definitely do that easily if I use it as a face highlight and a lid shade. And this one down here, initially I wanted to say hit pan, but I want to use it up because there's not that much. It's quite thin in there, but also I think I want to try using it as like a bronzer or a blush, multi-purposing it that way. If it works that way, I will definitely have it done, no problem. For this month, I have 2 set goals, and then 2 goals that it's like, pick one, whichever one happens, I'll be happy with. And that is either hit pan in this shade, or hit side pan in the pink shade. And I'm doing that because it depends on if I'm drawn to more warm tone looks, or more cool tone looks, or pinky looks, or neutral looks. I don't know what I'll be into. But whichever one I find myself drawn to or want to finish first, then if I hit either of those goals, I will be very happy. I honestly want to get these done first in my mind because I like them the least. But maybe I'll hit pan in this. I have no idea how. I can't quite tell. I feel like I'm not as close as I think I am. So I don't know. But yeah, it was a pretty quick update because I finished up so many. I am down to 6, unless if you count this Franken, but I consider that a part of this bronze right here, so they're kind of the same shade, but I'm basically halfway through. Again, I chose really easy shades for this project because honestly, just those are the shades I wanted to get done with because they were so close and they fit the prompt. So I'm pretty happy considering this past month, how it's been. The progress could have been a lot worse. But to be fair, every time I reached for eyeshadow, it was pretty much I reached for these and then maybe one shade from my Franken palette, maybe. So, yeah, next week's gonna be probably uneventful unless there's something drastically changes in the next week. But in terms of this project, I think I'm set for a very successful year. But that is everything for today. Let me know if you have any ideas for multi-purposing some of these shades. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed and I hope that you have an amazing day. Bye!